Hey everybody, how you doing? I hope you're happy. I know it's not easy to be happy in today's chaotic world. But if you're struggling with depression, anxiety, things aren't going the way you want them to go, I'd like to give you a mental tool that I use to help keep myself on an even keel in this whirlwind of insanity that we're living in. I know it's not easy. And I think there's even a pervasive force in the world that is doing what it can to pump up that baseline level of misery. You see it every day on the news. Turn on the news and you see a nonstop litany of people doing terrible things to other people. And in our everyday interactions, we have these difficult situations where you call a big company for support, and instead of quickly talking to somebody who's helping get your problem resolved, you find yourself talking to an automated system that says, "Your call is important to us. Please stay on the line for a customer service agent. Your estimated hold time is 94 minutes." And I think if my call was so important, and you're a multi-billion-dollar company, maybe you could hire a couple more agents. But instead we have this structure that pumps up the misery a little bit. So if I'm not happy about something, I have this emotion of anger, frustration, depression. I consider what's going on. And the first thing I figure is that feeling that I'm experiencing, it's just a feeling. It's just an indicator. It's not me at my core. That feeling is not me. I'm not angry. I'm not depressed. I'm not frustrated. I might feel angry, depressed, or frustrated, but I am not any of those things. I'm outside of that. And it's just the same as any other sense. I might walk into an area that has some kind of terrible smell, and I don't like it. But that smell isn't me. It's just a smell that I am sensing. And so it is with the emotions. The emotions are just an indicator that there is something in this environment that is causing me a disruption. That's not the way that I would prefer it to be right now. So I have some conjured up vision in my mind as to how I would like the situation to be. I'd like it to smell clean and pure and have a scent of roses, but instead I'm finding myself in a place that has the scent of skunk. And so that's just an input. It's nothing about me personally. It's just that there's a disconnect between the way things are and the way I'd like them to be. That's what the emotion is. And knowing that, then you're empowered. You can make a change if you want to. You can either just say, that's what it is, and ignore it. But more likely, something's got to change. Either the outside world has to change to meet your vision, or you've got to come to terms with the fact that your utopian vision of the way you'd like things to be, that's just not the way things are. Sometimes you can fix the outside world if it's something within your control, and that should inspire you to acquiesce to that. Take control, fix the problem, make it right. But of course, there's a lot of things in our world that are outside of our control, and then we just have to come to grips with the fact that the way we'd like them to be, it's not the way that they really are. And that we have to adjust our expectations to meet reality. Otherwise, we're just living in a fantasy world, and that's probably not going to serve us well long term. Not going to make good decisions if you're living in a fantasy world. And so you have to accept that A is A, as they would say. And this is the way the world is. come to terms with reality. Yeah. Now, if you want to do something, if you want to know how to succeed at something, one of the best ways to get guidance for that is to see somebody who's doing it successfully. If you have this vision in your mind going, I think it'd be fun to run a food truck operation. Maybe you should go see somebody who's doing it successfully. Maybe you could go work for somebody who's running a food truck for a week or two and see the challenges that they experience on a daily basis and how they address them. And by gaining that knowledge, you'll learn how to successfully do that task. And so if you want to be happy, well, look for somebody to model. Look for somebody who's happy in what they do. Now, of course, we all have complicated tapestries of lives and histories. And so what works for one person may not work so well for you. So you want to find somebody who has a similar background and mindset as you have, and how they've navigated the situation that made them happy. And so who would be the best person to examine for how they were happy? Well, yourself, of course. And I would say there's a really good likelihood that at some point in your life you were blissfully happy. So I'd like you to think back and try to pick out a key moment or two or three which were the peak experiences in your life where you were just so happy, and the times of your life when you were just experiencing so much flow and joy, and those times that you would like to be able to recreate in your future. If you're a musician, maybe you had that perfect night where the crowd was awesome. Somehow you managed to find a sound guy who wasn't trying to destroy your show or give you a hard time, and he wasn't in your way. And everybody on stage, it was almost like shared consciousness, and you were just playing. Everybody was locked in the groove, and it all just flowed, and everything just came together, and it was just joyous and fun. Maybe it was that first kiss with somebody that you were just completely enamored with. Maybe it was a time you were downhill skiing and you're just carving through the snow and everything was one and just perfect responsiveness. And you and the skis and the snow just melded into one composite experience. I'm sure there were times in your life like that, where everything just went super easy and you were just in the moment, no worries at all, and it was wonderful. Now think about those moments. And what were you thinking? What were you thinking at that time you were on stage playing with your band and everybody was just locked in the groove? Were you standing there thinking, how do I get my fingers around this guitar? How do I play that note? Should I play the riff like this or should I do this? I would bet that you weren't thinking at all. I would bet that you weren't standing there on stage playing, thinking, oh man, I got this brutal tax situation coming up. How am I going to navigate that? No, you probably weren't worrying about taxes, the day at work, traffic, none of that stuff. You weren't thinking about anything. You were just playing guitar. You were just carving through the snow, skiing down the hill. You were just completely involved in the moment. without thought. There's probably not a single thought in your head. You just let go and dove into the moment. It's been said that the source of all unhappiness is thinking. And I'm not advocating that you should stumble through your life completely mindlessly. We have to make good decisions in order to pave a pathway to a positive future. But when you're involved in a task, sometimes thinking less and just fully engaging in the task, just let go and dive in and be, is the answer to true bliss. And I know I've done that intentionally at some rock and roll shows that I've worked with bands where I've mixed the show. I've been partially into the show worrying about this and worrying about that and thinking, how should I resolve this and how should I EQ that instrument and so forth and so on. And I thought, just stop. Just stop. And let it be. And if I feel like I should do something, just do it. Don't worry about what anybody thinks. And just dive in and swim with the waves. And so that's the key to true bliss and happiness, is to stop thinking about it and just be. And just dive into the world. Don't care about anything. And just immerse yourself completely and totally in the moment and let go. And so those are a couple of things that I do in order to shed off all of that mental chatter that is creating the friction between my utopian vision of the world and the way it truly is. So thanks for tuning in, catching the episode. I'll catch you again soon in another one.